See if it happens.
Recording.
Am I? I'm such a dinosaur. It's like, oh, am I doing the right thing? I don't know. All right, so let's move this thing up. So what do I? All right, so
Can I move to the floor again?
you can move wherever it helps you see, and I will do this, and I will do that. Miss Margaret, are you by any chance on the Zoom or no?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you just tell me if anything's happening? Yeah.
I see what's on the screen.
Awesome. Okay, let's do this thing. Yes. Yes, we can. Let's do that. I feel like I want to move I feel like I'm always on that syndrome. I think next we can move it over here. Because I'm going to talk to you more. Hi. Oh, I forgot. Come on in.
It's okay.
Come on in. I just started to record. We're going to record my lesson. That's okay. Go for it.
No, it's really quick. Hello, everyone. I'm Cecilia Sharon. I'm Glenn Withington.
Yay! MDM alone. It's our family, okay?
And we started the Creative Writing Club last year. But this year, our big project.
We have some speakers here.
Designing and printing a literary magazine that we're going to hopefully have printed by May. So we're looking for writers, journalists, photographers, graphic designers, people who do some layout, really anything. We really love to have some of like the underclassmen. Underclassmen representation. Because mostly the club right now and like the people we know obviously are upperclassmen, which is like fine, but that doesn't represent the whole school. And I think there's a lot of talent here in underclassmen that is just not looked into that much. But yeah, we're really wanting anything. So like illustrations, interviews, anything you think is interesting or cool or somewhat artistic, we will take it. Yes.
I happen to know so many artistic, creative people in this class that I think should partake. And here's the thing, when they say upperclassmen, they mean 9th and they mean 10th and 11th. They don't mean that, DeVos. They mean 11th and 12th grade, okay? Underclassmen 9th and 10th. This can't grow. They're gonna graduate.
Yeah.
They need some new people to come in to keep this going because we don't want this to last for 1 year. We want this to last for many years. And I know many of you would be very beneficial to this. Sorry for interrupting.
No, exactly. So this is a literary magazine from the University of Iowa that I picked up in 2019, and it's kind of what we're going for. They have photography, they have creative writing, they have interviews with interesting people who came to the campus. So if you are interested in creating anything like that, we'd really love to have you. In the magazine, you can email either myself or else there's a 10th grader named Greta who's part of A through L, and she would love to talk to you too. Just anything you have, we'd love to see it. And then we also meet creative writing. If you just want to talk like in person, or say you have like a project in mind but you don't really know how to like get it going, we meet like every other Friday in person, and Thursday. If not, we meet like every week. Otherwise, yeah. Creative Writing Club happens every week, and it either depends if it's in person or online because we alternate. April. If you're interested, let us know. We can sign up on working students. Yes, Ms. Margaret.
Do the submissions have to be digital? Can they be hand-drawn art and things like that?
Yeah, we could probably work that in.
Okay.
Here's the thing, can you go to the meetings even if you just want to find out more about it, but you don't really have a story, like you just you want to visit with and figure out if your creative juices get zapped?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't have to come there with a poem or a story, a picture in mind. You can go there and see what's up, get involved with it, even help with layout, just to try. No one is expecting you know how to do all these things. It's a school. We're learning how to. Okay?
Yeah, I've never done anything like that, so we're just kind of.
We're gonna have fun. That's what it is.
We're learning as we go, really.
Yeah. And they're very nice and very approachable. And like I said, they were part of the big extended MDM family. So come on now. All right.
That's all.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for being here. I'll put that up in the window. Thank you. I wish we had one when I was in, so there were speakers about the literary club and magazine. And I think hopefully some will come back on an A through L day.
Were they gonna put a poster up or how?
They have a little flyer over.
Around the school. Okay.
So that's awesome. All right, let's moving on. But I encourage you, try something like this. And it needs people to get involved so it will grow. Otherwise we lose it. All right, so we're looking at social norms and social roles. People get these confused all the time, and that's quite okay. But social norms are rules followed by a particular group. Oh my God, okay, so you're saying there's social roles, but the norms are the rules? Yes, I am. Norms. Think of normal behavior. What is normal anyway? Come on. But norms are considered rules, okay? And social norms, again, when we talk about social, we're talking about society, we're talking about a group of people. So social norms are rules followed by a particular group. Now, these groups can be small, like a group of friends, or as large as an entire nation. And norms or rules depend on conformity to work properly. Now, when we say conformity, it's like, oh, it doesn't feel good, right? But if I'm going to play football with Antoine, right? And I start throwing the football in a soccer net. Antoine's like, DeVos, I've told you that's not how you play football. We are not going to have a successful football game. And if I tickle someone instead of tackling them, it's like, no, it's tackle, not tickle. We're not going to have a successful game unless we conform to the same rules. Am I right? It's just going to be a disaster. It'll be chaos. So there's a reason why we need conformity like that, okay? So rules followed by a particular group. Sometimes a group of friends, right? You know, there's well, we'll talk more about that. Exactly. Exactly. And we'll go. Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
I think they can hear you. I think they might be asking me.
Can
One student is gonna leave and come back to see if.
Is that Mr. Chrome again? Is it poor Mr. Chrome?
No.
Oh.
What did I do?
Nothing, Will Crum. I miss you, Will Crum, but I broke up with you. Sorry to tell you via a Zoom chat. No, I didn't break up with you. I'm equal opportunity. I love everyone. So I might pick on Will Crum and Gabe today, but honestly, you are all firmly in my heart. Valentine's forever. All right, so hopefully you heard about the social norms, but are other people complaining about volume, Margaret, or just one? Okay, thanks for doing that. So there's formal norms, right? Examples of formal norms can be like a student handbook. Here's what you have to wear and how you have to behave in school. A contract, you will pay me X amount of dollars by this date. Laws, stop at a red stop sign, right? You may not steal from people, right? Those are formal norms, right? There's like a written document somewhere there, it's written that you have to follow them. Everyone knows them. And if you break a formal norm, ooh, baby, you get a consequence. Okay? What are your consequences? And you can, I'm sorry if you're over there. This whole setup here is so screwy. If you need to move, you can move, people. It's okay. So your consequences, suspension, right? Expulsion, right? You break some of the rules in the student handbook for behavior. If you cheat, academic integrity, you will get expelled, right? Really? You have one warning, I think, and then after that, you get expelled. I think it's two. Okay, well, either way. Either way, you're going to get expelled. Either way, don't show. What happens is, I think the first time you get an F on that assignment, whatever it is, and you have to go to an academic integrity chat. Oh, yeah, okay, it could be. I don't have the handbook memorized. Regardless, let's focus on what's important, okay? So the fact is, yes, Lily.
Is there like a place where all the laws are written down?
For the handbook?
No, just for like in general. Like Minnesota laws.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to, yeah, there are they written, but there's so many. But you,
I've just like never seen it. So.
Well, there's so many. But if you go to the
lawyer's office.
Yeah, but also if you go to the Minnesota State website, I think there are ways to find out.
Okay.
But it's not, trust me though, behave as you should behave. You should not be you wouldn't be breaking a law. There's no need to fear about that, okay? You can get fired, right? I got sexually harassed at a job and I told someone and they told someone else and this person got fired. You can get fined, right? You can get a speeding ticket. You can get arrested, imprisoned. Those are all consequences for breaking formal norms. Formal norms are kind of serious, and you're going to get a serious consequence, right? We got that? Okay, moving on. Informal norms, okay? Informal norms, that's when you think of Mean Girls, okay? Or informal norms are not really written down somewhere. They may be, but not really, because they're informal. Everybody knows this, right? Don't pick your nose in public. That's not written somewhere, but that's kind of an informal rule, right? We have, sometimes for women, we've got these informal norms. Many young ladies don't wear pants to school. I don't know why, but there seems to be, I would be wearing pants, my daughter wore pants, but a lot of girls for their school uniforms don't choose to wear the pants. All of you pretty much have long hair, right? There's informal rules like girls are supposed to shave their legs. Boys don't cry. Some of these gender norms are really limiting. I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying they're out there, right? You see someone in the hallway and you say, hello there, and they don't say hello back. You're kind of like, what the hell, man? Right? Bro code. You don't date someone's little sister. You don't date your best friend's ex-girlfriend, right? That's kind of underwritten bro code, okay? Maybe there's a girl code, I don't know. These are informal norms, right? You just know. You just know, like, you don't do that, okay? You guys get it, don't you? It's different than a formal norm. There's no contract saying, you shall not pick your nose in public. But
Call that implicit, right, Mr. Rose?
yeah, that's excellent. Now, what happens if you break an informal norm? You still get consequences. Oh, how do I move that thing? Oh, I don't know. You still suffer consequences. You still get in trouble a little bit, right? Consequence usually means getting in trouble to me. Like, there will be a consequence. It's like, oh yeah, this is going to hurt, right? Like what? Ridicule. Other group members might harass you to force you to conform, right? Think about Gretchen Luderman. I don't know if she was, what informal norms she was breaking. Maybe it was how she dressed. Maybe it was how she acted, but she was pretty much shunned, right? Re-education. Other group members might work to help socialize you, to encourage conformity. So ridicule, making fun of, right? Change. Re-education. Hey, maybe you didn't know this, but like, here's my way of saying, I've had to have this conversation with some gentlemen. You're a handsome guy. You've got a lot going for you. You know what? Probably should be using deodorant a little bit more on the regular. You have to.
That's so awkward.
But you have to. Sometimes people don't know, and that's okay, right? Hey, you might want to think about doing this. Rejection, that's a bad one, right? Refusal to conform could result in expulsion from the group. You're kicked out. You've done this too many times. We're not going to be friends with you anymore. Okay? So the big thing is I want you to understand that there's consequences for both. Okay? Formal norms, usually there's a source of writing or a law or something somewhere, right? Contract, a handbook. Informal norm, it's kind of like just one of those things you know. Okay? And you get consequences from both. All right, are we good? We get this, right? We know this stuff. Social roles. Woo, roles. Roles, there's roles and rules. People get very confused. And I think of all these high school stereotypes, like the stoner, the bully, the artsy, the nerd, hip, goth, blabbermouth, all these different ones, drama queen, creeper, oh dear me. So,
Can we write those?
no. So, social roles, now think of it this way, it's not rule, and I'm getting confused. Role, when you just see the word role, I've got a role in a play. I'm an actor, right? Social roles are the parts people play as members of a particular social group. We like to think not, but sometimes it happens. It does. And it's another part of conformity, right? We act a certain way. We play the part. Sometimes when I go back home, so I'm the youngest in my family. I'm 55. We all know that. I go back and I see my brother and my sister and my mom. If I'm back in California, they're all there, and they still treat me as their little sister. I was out with my brother, who's 7 years older than I am, at brunch, and he introduced me to someone as his baby sister, like baby sister. I'm still fighting that. Plus, I'm way shorter than them too. They're all very tall. So it's just kind of funny. And then sometimes I slip into that role, like, oh, don't call me a baby sister. I don't do it like that, but you know what I mean? I feel a little bit naughtier when I'm around them too, right? I kind of put on that old role. Sometimes we act differently a little bit depending on who you're with, right? Think about it. You're talking to grandma. You might talk to grandma in a different way than you talk to your friends, right? The way I talk with my friends is very different than I talk to my boss, Mr. Miley, right? I'm a cursor, man. I drop the F-bomb all the time with my friends. I have this little switch in my head, like I gotta know my audience and not do that when I see Mr. Miley, right? Or sweet Miss Modal, she's the sweetest thing in the world. I would never curse in front of her, okay? So we do this, we all do this. But sometimes there can be a problem where you might lose sight of your own beliefs or values, okay? Sometimes we conform a little too much and we forget really who we are. Okay? Think of your conscience. Sometimes we like stories, and sometimes we like a little bit of the old gossip, the old spill the tea, right? And sometimes there's something very addictive about that, because if I hear something and I tell Lily that something and Lily doesn't know it, she may think, not directly think, but then it's assumed that I know stuff. I know stuff. I know people who know stuff. And that could give me more social power, right? My conscience might tell me, don't talk trash about other people. Don't do that. But sometimes we kind of play that role, and we do, right? I think about that with our young women sometimes, because I look at myself as female, and there's a lot of slut shaming stuff that goes on, right? And sometimes bad talk about other girls, and we can participate in that. And our conscience really knows, like, that's not nice to do. That's not necessary. Doesn't make the world happier or a better place. Doesn't help anybody. But it can be very enticing. Okay. Have any of you seen The Breakfast Club? My God, some of you have.
Yeah.
All right, great. Yeah, well, I would watch it if you can. It's so old by this standard. At the time, it was like, whoa. But it's these kids that have to serve Saturday detention in a high school. And one's the jock, and one's the stoner, and one's like the popular rich girl, and one's the odd girl, and one's the nerd, right? And they even call themselves that. And as they spend this whole day Saturday detention together, there's a lot of hostility, but they slowly get to know each other and realize that one word does not describe anybody. You're so much more than that one word or that social role. And with these social roles, we make assumptions, right? Oh, you like science, you must be a nerd. And then there's this. It's like, you don't know me. Oh, what happened to that? I'm done.
We still have like 3 questions.
So what's a problem with social roles? What is a problem? Yep.
Yes, that you might lose sight of your own.
Yeah. They're too confining too, right? Even by saying, think about that. Someone says you're a teenager. Some people have an idea in their mind like, oh, teenagers, right? They make assumptions about you. And sometimes if we align with that too, we might, with the group too much, we might be afraid to speak out or to act differently. Yep.
we also sometimes tend to let the social role define who we are.
Yeah,
So for instance, in high school, I was a jock. And because I was a jock, I did jock things.
yep,
And when I was offered the chance to be in a play as a teacher, I was like, no, I would never do anything like that. I was a jock. And I did this play as an adult and had an absolute blast.
absolutely.
I wish I could have done it in high school because it was so much fun. But because I was confined to that social role, I didn't branch out from it.
Right. Yeah, Ms. Markert.
I also think that it limits.
Mr. McDermott was saying he was a jock role and he never thought about trying out for a play. Sorry.
And I'm just talking about how it just limits our ability to think outside the box.
Yes.
As a human race, we have to be innovative and just sort of learn how to get outside the boxes, right?
Right. It's very limiting. It's very limiting. And we'll talk about that too, definitely when we talk about gender as well, because there are definitely these roles that we're supposed to play. And we're more than that. We're more than that. And it's kind of like, I hate to say it, it's kind of like the bad part of tradition. I don't know if I told this, like some traditions are great, but sometimes if we just do something because we always have done it, that's a lot with social roles too. A jock has always meant this, right? You can't be a jock and write poetry. How dare you? Hide that. We might shun you, you know? Yeah, same with me. I think about like who I was in high school, who I wanted myself to be, right? Sometimes I guess you could say I was a little bit rebellious. And there's often time that I wanted to act like a rebel, like maybe it wasn't necessarily natural to me, but I thought I had this role that I had to do. High school too is just it gets better, people. I'm just gonna tell you, it's great to have fun in high school, but the older you get, the more you have less F's to give about things and how other people think about you, okay? And you just be you and you find out more about you. Layla, did you have your hand up, cutie?
I didn't mean to, but I was gonna ask if we are supposed to be taking these down, writing these down.
If you want to, if it helps you, have you ever witnessed or experienced conformity from social norms and social roles? If you want to put something there, sometimes it's kind of personal, and I get it. If you don't feel comfortable, but whatever helps you understand this, okay? Because is this gonna, I hate to say that, like it's gonna show up on a test. It will. But also I think this is fascinating and I think it's worthwhile to understand and grow as a person, as a human, right? We've got to understand when we do have a tendency to conform. If we want to stop that, we got to know when we do it, right? All right, so I'm going to get the other stuff lined up. What time are we? Okay, we're good for time. Are we all okay? Brighton item.
Turn this in.
Yes, so if you're finished, turn it in. Let's not forget to turn it in. I will post these slides at the end of the day today if we want me to. Okay, so let's turn it in when you finish. And again, I'll post the slides at the end of the class time. All right, so I'm gonna swoopy swoop, get rid of this, and get rid of that. And today's gonna be a long day, I feel like. All right, now, social psychology part 2. Can you be with me for this? So here's a worksheet. And it says here, you know the drill. We'll try to finish up our social psychology lectures today. And if we don't, we can finish them on Friday. Quick check-in with you right now, though. Does anyone need a 5-minute break or should we just keep going? Is a break necessary?
5-minute break.
Gray needs a break. Gray, you can go. If anyone, how about this? If you need to go trot off to go to the bathroom or get a snack or something, I'm recording this. That's what's beautiful about this. So you could check the recording later. So if you've got to do, you just do you. All right. So let's open this one now. Social Psychology Worksheet 2. Super creative title, I know.
Well, I have a question.
Of course.
Were you saying that, like,
You're fine.
social norms can sometimes be beneficial?
Social.
Okay,
Yeah, like the rules. Yes. The rules. Yeah.
like not like laws, but like stereotypes kind of, because like, okay, I used to be like really quiet, but then my friends here are really talkative, so I started talking more.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to like be more like them and be able to have conversations with them. so now I'm more confident.
Do you think that, and that's an interesting thing. Yeah, and that's a part of that re-education because, hey, there's social norms that are like I told you, like the wearing deodorant or not picking your nose, like that's a good thing. If this maybe having these friendships built your confidence too, and you felt more comfortable expressing yourself, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with social norms. I don't think so. Unless, remember, this whole thing is about conscience, okay? Unless it's forcing you to conform to something else and you're going against what you know in your heart or your gut you should be doing, right?
That's a really good question, Bob.
It is a really good question because there are good things about it. It's a bonding experience, absolutely, right? So it's not all bad. But the whole thing is with any time with some kind of conformity, if it's hurting you, if you feel like I'm doing something and I don't feel right about this, your conscience, your gut feeling should come first. And it's really hard to listen to that sometimes, especially if there's a lot of noise around, whether it's activity or arousal or anything else, right? That's why we often bring up parties and things like that, because that can be literally very noisy, but also just a lot of information coming at you, and it's hard to kind of think straight. All right, social psych part 2. You got this open, hopefully you do. If you want to print it out, you know, there's a printer over there and you can print it. Yes. Pardon me? Mr. Moss, you just need to say?
Mary had a question, but we answered it.
Oh, okay. All right, so let's get this going. Where's, okay. Now let's see. Yeah, of course. Okay, how are you seeing this, everybody? How,
We see what you're seeing, Mr. Bob.
okay, it's like this?
Kids can see it.
Okay, okay, perfect. So even more social psychology, and I know you might be kind of tired, I get it, but try to stay awake, okay?
This is the really interesting stuff now.
Now my pants are falling down, I don't know why. All right, so authority. Okay, so we're talking about authority here, and again, a lot of this is about conformity and things and changing our mind, not listening to our conscience. What gets in the way of that, right? And I love this cartoon. As soon as we abandon our own reason and are content to rely upon authority, there is no end to our troubles, right? So yeah, you know, there's a need to respect authority, but it's also okay to question who's the authority figure, right? I'm your teacher. I guess you can consider me an authority. I'm also human and I make mistakes. I don't hold all the knowledge in the class by any means, right? If I'm saying something and you disagree with it, I encourage you to question it and let's have a discussion about it. Because I learn as much from you as you do from me, quite honestly, okay? Sometimes when we say someone's a doctor or a priest or a politician, we think they must know. Right? They're this authority figure. They must know everything. They're just humans too. Trust me. I'm related to politicians and doctors and people of that nature. They are absolutely just like, again, just humans, okay? They're not some special being. All right. So we're looking at authority today. And the question is, why do people study this? We want to know, why do normal individuals do awful things? And I talked about this before with social psychology too. Why did average citizens of Germany support Hitler, right? Why did soldiers torture and humiliate prisoners at Abu Ghraib prison, right? El Salvador, I mean, there's atrocities all over the world of people doing really awful things to other people. Why? Because honestly, they're not all psychopaths or sociopaths. Someone's conscience had to be telling them, this is not a good idea, okay? But what happens is, yes. I'm getting to there. It'll be the next slide, okay? So that's okay. The status and perceived authority of a leader, even an assumed leader, even the assumed leader of your friend group, sometimes can cause an individual to act against their own conscience. Partly out of fear, I don't want them to kick me out. I don't want to get in trouble. Partly out of awe, oh my God, they're a senator. They have to know what they're talking about. Oh, right? Partly out of relief responsibility. I don't have to think. This person knows all the stuff. They can do the thinking for me. Okay? All right. I'm not saying all the time. I'm just saying sometimes, and not all leaders are bad, of course not, but sometimes we can get caught up in these things out of awe, out of fear, out of this relief responsibilities, and we don't listen to ourselves. Okay? All right. So let's go over to the next one. Sorry, I had to give a little back up top. So authority, what is authority? Authority is the right to give orders, to make decisions, and enforce obedience. I tell you to put your cameras on. I'm the authority. You should do that, right? Right? Your coach tells you to run 5 laps. He's your coach. You should do that. It's not always bad. However, some authority figures can take advantage of that. Power is an addictive drug, okay? Also, some people might just, again, that idea, out of fear, want to ignore their conscience. So remember, sometimes authority is assumed and we believe it. So someone in a lab coat with the clipboard, with a lot of initials after their name, MD, PhD, LSD. Titles, doctor, senator, judge, how people act or talk. You know, there are some people that walk into this room with a lot of authority. Hello there. I don't know. I'm trying to be authoritative, but they can control the room with how they walk or they talk. If I come in and be like, "Hi, everybody. Can you just sit up and listen to me, please?" I get kind of mousy. That's not going to get some authority, right? So how far do you think you would go with an authority figure? Dun, la, 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 la. So here is the Milgram experiment. And I just want to do this over here. Okay, so the Milgram experiment, and I'll try to show a video of this too, because sometimes it's hard to explain. There is the experimenter, there's the teacher, and there's the learner. All right, so the experimenter is this person over here. Is the person with the E. At home, you can't see me. This is very hard. That's the experimenter, right? That's the person controlling the experiment. And this person, let's call it a him, because it's like a male haircut, tells it to, and look at that, I'm conforming to a gender role there. Tells it to people that the goal is to study the effects of punishment on learning. So I'm experimenter E, and I tell Christina T and Gabe L, we're going to study the effects of punishment on learning. You're going to be the learner, Christina, and Gabe, you're going to be the teacher. Okay? However, what Gabe doesn't know, I'm not testing Christina. She's in on it with me. We're testing Gabe. And I show up with my lab coat, my clipboard. Hello, I'm Dr. DeVos. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. She is in on the game. He has no idea. Gabe has no idea. The learner is the actor. Okay? Wait, who's the learner? Did I say you're the learner or the teacher? The learner, and you're the teacher. Right? The teacher, and I say, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to strap Christina up to this electronic device. And Gabe, you're going to ask her questions. And if she gets one wrong, you need to give her a little electric shock. Don't worry, I'm a doctor. Okay?
Did this actually happen?
Yeah. And you know what? And if you can't remember an answer, sorry, Christina. Gabe, you've got to. This is part of the experiment. You've got to shock Christina. And for each wrong answer she gets, we're going to go a little bit higher. You see how these switches in front of you? And there's a 1, 2, 3. And there's even one that says highly dangerous. That's okay. I'm a doctor. It's just a little one. Okay? And so we strap Christina in, and she's in another room. There's a wall separating them. I'm in the room with Gabe, with my lab coat on my thing. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay. And what happens is horrifying. 65% of the teachers continue to the highest voltage level of 450 volts. And on this sign in front of them, it had like triple X, like highly dangerous, right? More than half kept shocking them. Christina's in the other room, and I told her, she knows, right? She's an actor. And I told her, make sure after the first couple, answer wrong on purpose. And she's like, fine. She's not really getting shot, okay? She's not. Gabe doesn't know that. She's behind a wall. So she's like dumb to dumb, giving the answers. And as he gets her wrong, she goes, ow! And every time this happens, in almost every study, Gabe will look at me. Like, should I keep going? And I'm like, give her a higher, and then Christina gets another one wrong. He'll look at me again. Give her a higher one. Ow! Ow! Gets more and more. Stop it, please. I have a heart condition. He looks at me like, at any time, he could say, I don't want to do this anymore. And they rarely did, because they perceived me as the authority figure. And I said it was okay, right? All of the teachers, sorry, Gabe, I know you would never do that. Christine, thanks for being a good sport. All of the teachers went up to 300 volts. So more than half went to the highest one, okay? And they constantly, like, I'll show you a video. They constantly look at the person in charge and like, yeah, go ahead. All teachers went to 300 volts. Extreme intensity shock, all of them. Okay, so like I said, the teachers kept looking back at the experimenter when the learner got the wrong answer, almost to silently ask permission to give another shock or to tell them to stop giving shocks. Some people giggled when they were doing it. Some people got really upset. Let me see if I can find, I really want to show you a video for that, if that's okay, because it's interesting to see. So sorry, I'm going to try to do, this is so.
Well, were these people actually teachers though?
No,
No,
they just call them teachers.
Okay.
I tell them, we're studying the effects of punishment on learning. You're just anybody, they're called the teacher and experience, the teacher and the learner.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to see, will Christina answer them better if she gets punished? And that's not what the test is about at all. And poor Gabe's like, I'm just doing what I was told, right? Just doing what I was told. So let's see this, if we can do that. Okay, so I'm gonna, can you all see this, Mr. Moss, on the Zoom? Yeah. You can? Okay, let's watch this.
A decade earlier, psychologist Stanley Milgram had also looked at how we respond to authority.
Milgram experiment, Dr. Milgram. There's a movie based on this.
How people were induced to obey unjust regimes and participate in atrocities such as the Holocaust, he set up an experiment. Volunteers were told they were taking part in scientific research to improve memory.
Would you open those and tell me which of you is which, please? Teacher.
Separated by a screen, the teacher would ask the learner questions in a word game and administer an electric shock when the answer was incorrect. He was told to increase the voltage with each wrong answer.
Cloud, horse, rock, house. Answer. Wrong. 150 volts. Answer, horse. Experiment, that's all. Get me out of here. Get me out of here, please. Continue, please. We're out of time.
Now remember, he's an actor. He's not really getting shot. He's an actor, okay? And the fact is, though, the man who's giving the shocks can't see the person who he's giving the shocks to. That makes it easier for him to conform, because now this person becomes faceless to them. You're not actually seeing it. There's more of a distance, and it's easier to administer the shock if you can't see the person.
And they can't see you.
And they can't see you. But for me, if I'm giving the shock, I don't have to see the person getting hurt, right? Yeah, and they can't see me either.
The experiment requires you continue, teacher. Please continue.
Participants didn't know that the learner was really an actor, and the so-called shocks harmless.
You're gonna get a shock, 180 volts. I can't feel the pain. I'm not gonna kill that man there. I mean, who's gonna take the responsibility if anything happens to that gentleman? I'm responsible for anything that happens here. Continue, please. All right, next one, slow. Walk, dance, truck, music.
2/3 of volunteers were prepared to administer a potentially fatal electric shock when encouraged to do so by what they perceived as a legitimate authority figure. In this case, a man in a white coat.
375 volts. I think something's happened to that fellow there. I don't get no answer. He was hollering on Liz Polish. Can't you check in and see if he's all right, please?
Milgram's findings horrified America. They showed that decent American citizens were as capable of committing acts against their conscience as the Germans had been under the Nazis.
Okay, and that is frightening for people because we often use the idea of the Nazis in Germany as like the worst, right? Of course. And what we would, and there's almost a sense like, well, thank God we would never do that. We would never do that. But the scary thing is to think maybe in the same situation, we would do that. Are we any better then? We're all human, right? So again, very, very frightening. And a lot of people want to do that. This was when social psychology really took off. Like, why do good, normal people do horrible things? Okay. So I will go back to the old PowerPoint. Okay. Come on now. Okay. So like I said, people, I think he said 2/3, you've got 65% here, went to the lethal voltage. Okay. I don't know if it's ethical to do this experiment now. Because the fact is, and that's with a lot of psychology experiments, you need to be ethical. You don't want to cause harm to the person you're testing. You want to get results. But if Gabe were to think that he actually was harming Christina and giving her, causing her undue pain and maybe giving her a lethal dose, that'd be horrible, right? You don't want to play that game with someone.
It can have a negative psychological effect on the subject.
Right. So I'm doing more harm than I am good in this situation, right? Okay, so again, what did you notice about the teachers and what gave that experimenter authority? Was it the way they talked? They had the lab coat on. They were very firm about it. And again, remember at any time, that gentleman could have said, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Did it even occur to you that he could say, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore? Isn't that funny? You kind of feel like, I have to. It's a very slippery slope. So what increases obedience? Okay, so Dr. Milgram, and Stanley Milgram is his name. I think there was a movie made recently about this. I have not seen it. I would like to. He found that people were more likely to increase obedience to an authority figure and therefore stop listening to their own conscience. That man in the experiment, his conscience was telling him, you got to stop. You're hurting someone. He kept looking back like, I don't feel right about this. Yet he kept ignoring his conscience. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to shame that man. Many of us would do the same. But a person is more likely to obey or resist authority if a peer does the same. If there were two of us there and my friend refused to give a shock, I might be able to do it. Think back to the Ash experiment. All we need is one other person to be on our side, okay? And a person is more likely to obey when the subject getting hurt is unseen. That's why the wall is there. If he were to see Christina shaking and screaming, he would have probably stopped sooner. Okay? It's harder to give the shock when you see the effect. Something about the gas chambers too in the Holocaust is people went in and you didn't really see all this happen. You didn't see them dying. Okay? Okay. What else? There's more factors. They're more likely to follow orders of an authority figure if the authority figure is watching them. Remember, that authority figure in that experiment was right there watching them, telling them you have to do it, right? If an authority figure tells me something and I want to be a little bit naughty and they're not around, I can find a sneaky way of doing my stuff, right? A person is more likely to follow orders of an authority figure if they think the authority figure has a higher status, if they think the authority figure has more economic status, is wealthier, more social status, more popular, physical, bigger, stronger, more attractive, money, monetary, okay? We do that. We elevate certain people in our lives. We put them on kind of like a pedestal, not realizing that they are human just like us, that they pick their nose and do disgusting things just like we do, that they make mistakes like we do, right? But we kind of elevate them unnecessarily. And a person's more likely to be obedient if they believe their action is really providing assistance. I'm just helping him out. He told me to. It wasn't my idea. I'm just helping him. Questions about any of this?
I have a quick question. What should we write for
Sure.
number 5?
What is answer number 5?
Why
what's
did
the
the
question?
teacher shock the learners?
Why did the teachers shock the learners? Because the authority figure told them to.
Actually, because they got the answer wrong. Yeah.
Oh, because they got the answer wrong. But why did they continue to do that? Because someone told them to, right? So yes, he shot them because they got the answer wrong. But why did he continue to shock them? Because that's what we're looking at here. This lack of conscience, right? It's moral decision making. I'm ignoring my conscience because someone else is telling me to. And that person looks like an authority figure. Yeah.
Feel that since they have a person of authority with them, that they don't really have to think because they'll do it for them.
Beautiful. Remember that responsibility resistance I mentioned earlier? Yes, I don't have to think. He says so, and he's going to take responsibility. So I'm just, again, I'm just helping him out, right? It's really dangerous, and you could see where it could happen. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if this like correlates, but like, could this like kind of correlate in high school? So like with obedience and stuff, like say you're at a party or something.
Yes.
And people are like drinking or doing
Yes.
drugs and stuff. And like say like popularity wise,
Yes.
social norms.
Yes.
Like you could be like, oh, well, those like popular people are doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That cute guy's doing it. Well, that would have been me. I'm sorry. Right? And he's older and he's paying attention to me. Yeah. And my friends are like, Kristen, go for it. Right? Absolutely. All of these they kind of build on each other. So yeah, for high school. And that's why, I hate to tell you, that's why we nag you so much about this in high school. And that's why your parents worry about you so much, okay? It's not that they're trying to be mean. We're scared. We are scared because, again, your brain is not fully developed. So as smart as you are and as clever as you are, your decision making. I was not a great decision maker at that age. I couldn't be. My brain wasn't really there yet. So you're more able. It's easier for you to succumb to conformity. Doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean it at all. It's just the situation that you're in. Also, you're thrown in with people. You're still developing your confidence and your sense of self, and peer pressure is a thing. Whether someone's not overtly telling you, you smoke this joint with me or else I'm not going to be your friend anymore, but more like, you don't fit in with us. What are we going to do with you when we go out? Right? So that's why we nag you. It's hard. And we all did a lot of foolish things, right? Question? Would you have a question?
No, I was just stressing.
I think it's important to keep in mind that the subjects in these studies that we're looking at were not kids.
No, they
These were
weren't.
adults, and they were doing it.
Yes. And I mean, all these things, I can only speak for myself. I succumb to that too. And I hate the fact here, I'm like, see the word conform and I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to. But do I do that? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. I am such a sucker. I have to see, I went to the sleep number store with my husband, and the guy's like, hey, here's this fancy video. I'm Mr. Sleep Number Man. Here's this. People have the best night's sleep. Da 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 da. Get down on this bed. Here, let me adjust it for you. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever. And Kevin, my husband's like, this isn't comfortable. And this is really just an air mattress inside a waterbed.
It was a water.
It's not a waterbed, but it's built like a waterbed.
It is a big pocket.
It's a big pocket of air. It's like an air mattress inside. So he was saying that. Afterwards, I was like, I totally fall for that stuff, right? Don't take me with you when you buy a car, because I'm just like, but he said, but he said, so it does. I know.
Want them to be right. You want it to be
Yeah.
right.
Well, and again, that responsibility, please no, because I don't know. I don't know which makes the best bed. I just want to have something that I can sleep on. So yeah. And that's not serious, right? It's a bed, it's not that serious. But in other ways, we can conform too. Absolutely. All right. All right. So I have one more big thing to do. And I think what I'm going to do is hold off on going into this, okay? Because we have this other half is the Stanford Prison Experiment. And I don't feel like I have enough time to really do this justice and pass your papers back to you. All right, so we are going to hold the phone with this. So you will not be turning in part 2 today, okay? On Friday, I'm teaching you again. I'll do part of this and then I'll do part of something else, okay? So hold off on that. Does anyone have any questions or comments or examples they can think of about this too? Yes, Ms. Marker.
Well, of course, just thinking about what happened at the Capitol. Somebody told them to go storm the Capitol, and they did,
Mm-hmm.
because that was an authority figure that is, considered powerful and.
And there are a variety of authority figures saying that, not just Mr. Trump, right? And then also, if you align yourself with a particular group, maybe you would join in forces too, right? I was just thinking of something else with an authority figure too.
Sometimes they do it on commercials. They'll say like, the American Dental Association says this, so use this toothpaste.
3 out of 4 dentists, then you're like, wait a minute, that's 30 out of 40, that's 300 out of 400. Like, it's not really it, but it's done all the time politically, in the sports field and entertainment, a lot of other things too. And I was thinking about something else when you're saying currently, and it just flew out of my mind.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Can I say another one?
For sure.
More personal. In my AP class, I talked to kids a lot about their writing history.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of students say to me, well, I had a teacher one time that told me I wasn't a good writer.
Yes.
How much they struggle with
Yes.
over that authority figure telling them you're not good at it.
Yes, that Ms. Marker was just saying how in her AP class, her students were saying that teachers in the past have said that they weren't a good writer, and then they struggled with that. I have 2 friends whose high school counselors told them they weren't college material. And one eventually overcame that and ended up going, but she went to vocational training to do something else. And then she met another woman in her life who was a teacher and said, you would be a really good teacher. And she's like, no, my high school counselor told me it wouldn't be. And she went to school, and she's a first grade teacher right now and has been for a long time. I was her assistant for a while. But words can hurt you, right? And if someone has teased you about something, whether it's an older sibling who has more authority, or a parent, or a friend, or people at school, it's horrible. I remember the hurtful things people have said to me more than the nice things at times. What were you going to say, Vaughn?
My dad, when he was in high school, they told him that he could never be a lawyer. And then every year, like when I asked for donations, he sends them a certificate of his license. So he will.
I love it. Vaughn's dad was told that he could never be a lawyer, and when they ask for donations, he sends them a law certificate. I love it. Yeah, I went back to school at the U, and I was taking summer school classes not too long ago to get my teaching license, and I took too many I signed up for too many classes for summer school. I didn't realize, I just wanted to get them done. And one of my teachers was like, "You signed up for how many?" He's like, "You're not going to be able to do it all." And that, on the flip side, made me be like, screw you. And I got A's in all my classes. And I'm like, see, he's like, yeah, now I want you to come in for a PhD. Like, no, I don't want to do that. So you never know. All right. We have papers.
Tiana had something.
Oh, Tiana, what were we going to say, doll?
Oh, I
Sorry,
was
honey.
gonna say, like, it doesn't, I feel like now it's just like, it doesn't matter, like how little, like the saying is, even if it's like, for something super small, the higher status somebody has, or just like whatever like status they have, it just means a lot.
Yeah, it does. I that was what I was thinking of too. The lottery. Mr. Summers,
Yeah.
he had the status there. Old man Warner kind of had the status there, but if the rest of the group got together and said, we're not doing this anymore, but it was tradition, that would be breaking the social norm. Oh, you are so smart. All right.
I get,
Yeah, Ms. Ross.
I just want to jump in because things like the Milgram experiment, and on Friday, you're going to get to see the Stanford prison experiment. I'm working on my doctorate right now in education, and education is a social science.
Please
So
excuse this interruption. Just a reminder that all ninth grade students today
I'm sorry, Joe.
should go to the field house during their flex period. Again, all ninth graders,
1 minute
please
left in
report
class.
to the field house today during your flex period. You should not go to your teacher help assignments. Please go directly to the field house. Thank you.
All right, so I want you to know that, it was brought up that these studies are kind of considered unethical now. So for instance, I'm working on